Hi there, friends. Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice. Happy Wednesday, everyone. And we're going to be playing around with a few different products. I am going to be doing an ink and wash today. We are going to be keeping everything real time. And I'm just going to start playing around and invite you guys along with me. Now, I have sketched out sort of a lighthouse tower in the middle of some water. Transferred it to my watercolor paper. I'm painting on 100% cotton cold press 140-pound paper. This book is ordered from Lighthouse, but it's branded like the Potentate brand, which I believe is a Chinese brand sold through Lighthouse. I have some ink tints, a 12 pencil set. I have a sepia Pentel Arts pocket brush pen, and I have a couple other things. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. Now, what I wanted to do was some fine lining, but the reference photo has so many darker brown tones in it than black tones. So I did pull out my black fine liners, and then I started to think to myself, well, what brown liners do I have that'll be waterproof? So I have a 4 set of, what is this? Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen brush, and they are waterproof once they dry. I have a sepia, apricot, this one is sanguine, and this is raw umber. So I have those 4 colors. I have a brown Lyra graduate fine liner. I do believe these are water soluble though, so it could possibly be used after the water has been added. And I also have a Pentel pocket brush pen in the sepia color. So those are going to be taking place of the fine liners in this illustration. But I'm actually going to start off with a Derwent ink tints pencil, and I think I'm going to go with the color Baked Earth. And I'm going to use that to just kind of block in and shade in my actual tower here, hoping that some of the lines will stay, and knowing that once it dries, it'll be permanent. And then I could probably go over it with a wash of color, maybe, of some paint. I do have my De La Roni Aquafine set here. We'll put in a background, we'll put in some water. We'll just kind of bring it all together. Let's just get started. So I'm gonna start off with a pretty sharp ink tints pencil here. And you don't have to put down a lot of pressure with these pencils. And I'm basically going to, if you've already traced it, you would simply just be kind of tracing over the lines you have. And I'm not going to really worry about it being completely covered. I will be going in with a wash of color on top of this, which will be red. So it'll be really interesting to see how the brown pencil mixes with the red paint color. Maybe I should have penciled that in red, but we'll know later on, won't we? I've been wanting to work a little bit more on drawing buildings and things of that nature, which is why I decided to tackle this. So hopefully this will turn out pretty decent. It encouraged me to try giving buildings a little bit more like airtime, playtime, if that's what you want to call it. And I'm probably gonna go ahead and put in all the details of my little building with the pencil, because like I said, I do kind of want to wash this out. Let's see. Everything will get a coat of this color to unify it as far as it's a lighthouse. As far as the lighthouse goes, so even the door, which ultimately will be white, so if I have to go in with like bleed proof, I don't mind doing it. draw in the bricks on the lighthouse. And I'm just trying to keep them evenly spaced and still move pretty quick because I didn't time lapse this. I wanted to keep it real time for you guys. So we're just gonna brick this off. And I'm not sure if you guys know how to do bricks, but every other line in between every other line becomes a brick. At least that's how I'm doing it. Right here. And you just make it look bricky for you, however you need to do that. Just try to make sure you don't sit the line for a brick on top of another. That's all you gotta make sure of. And some of them you won't be able to see the line for. Okay, that looks pretty good. Like I said, hopefully some of those will stay. We'll go back in with a fine liner. Okay, and the railing will end up being black anyway, so we won't worry about that just at the moment. And I will put some shadow in. Let's see. In a few places. Just make it darker. I'll use the side of my pencil just to put in some darker areas in the wood. Well, this is actually stone. It's not wood. And I'll probably need to put some blue in that. A little shadow under here. I'm just looking at my reference photo, trying to find the places where I would have all of the darkest shadow at. And then it's gonna be plenty of darkness across the bottom where it goes into that water. That's gonna actually eventually run directly into the water. I'm not really worried about that. And I know I'll have to put some more shadow down on that area. Let's see, anywhere else I wanna just get some major shadow at the moment. No, I think I'm good. So first things first, I'm going to grab a brush. We'll use a soft squirrel synthetic. It's a number 10. That's a little too big. I'll reduce my size. Let's go with at least a number 8. Okay, this is a number 8 round, and it may be too big as well, but we'll see. I'll pull some of the water out of that. We're just gonna go in and brush that color around. Make sure we activate the pigment on those lines. See if you can get it to stay. That'll be really cool. Try not to brush out all your lines. And I'll leave that part in white. Again, I'm gonna just add water to this And we're just brushing it in. Keep in mind this is ink tints, so it's going to be really bright and vibrant and saturated. And I'm just trying to keep some definition with my lines, not get rid of too many of them. So just put enough water on there to spread your pigment out. I mean, clearly you could leave it like this if you wanted to. It's actually really cute. Just go back in with, the fine liner and redefine all your lines. And that would be really nice. So we're gonna need to give this time to dry. That way we can go in with some watercolor next. But I just wanted to get a base layer on my Lighthouse brown undertone because it's sort of brownish, you know. We're gonna add, let's let that dry because I don't want to lose any more lines, and then we're gonna go in and actually paint in a background, some water, and all those good things. Actually, before I do that, let's and I'm kind of moving some of the color to be in the areas that's a little bit darker, more concentrated. And this brush was a little too big, but it worked out. All right, let's get it time to dry, and then we'll go in with a watercolor. All right, let's go in and get our sky done. I'm just gonna wet the background. I'm gonna start out by wetting the background. My water is not clean, guys. Just so you know that. I don't mind sharing that. I do suggest for the brightest colors that you do, you know, paint with clean water, but I'm just using what's on my desk right now. I grabbed supplies that were sitting around me. I really just wanted to just do something really relaxing and fun for this. All right, I'm gonna grab my Daleroni paints. And I think this is ultramarine, so mix out a little ultramarine. And I actually happen to like Daleroni. I'm not sure which color is this. This is cobalt, more than likely. So let's mix a little of both of them in the sky. Add some water to that cobalt. Water it down. And let's start with some of that in our sky. Maybe we can keep it light. Start light at the top. Work your way down. You can use a flat brush if you want. If your paper dries, add water as you go. It's gonna help you keep it light as you bring it down to the horizon. And hopefully if you've given your Lighthouse time to dry, you really could paint right over it, and the ink tints shouldn't move and go anywhere. Now the only reason you may want to avoid it is because you may not want a blue tint on your actual Lighthouse. That's completely on you. Again, I'm adding water as I go. And I'm just gonna spread that blue around at will as I see fit. I'm gonna go down over the little mountains I have in the background. I'm not really worried about brush strokes, which is why I have it so watery. And it's gonna get a little granulation based on the colors we're using. Let's bring it down. I'm not really being too careful. As you can see, be sure to paint the white in the area in between the windows of your lighthouse that you'll be able to see through. And then I'm gonna add a little ultramarine at the top just to make it a little darker, because your sky will be darker at the top. You can brush it on down so it'll blend in. A little bit more just to get it a little darker. Keep in mind that your paper is really wet, so there's gonna be a shift. I'm just gonna blend that up into that and back down again, because you want to keep the same wet consistency all over your paper. I'm just gonna blend that ultramarine till it just runs completely into the cobalt. Pick that little bit up off my building there. All right, I think that's good. Simple sky. I'm not gonna take too much away from the actual lighthouse. Let's hit the water. We can go ahead and hit the water. Just don't paint directly up to your horizon line. And I'm gonna wet it down here as well. Now this is one of the few times I'm gonna try to paint still water. Because the water in my photo reference is not moving. It is not moving. Okay, we'll start off with the cobalt, because it's going to be reflecting what's in the sky. I want to keep this sort of wet too, but I will keep in mind the direction that water goes. All right, I'll add some more cobalt. We definitely need more color. Your water will definitely be darker than your sky. And I'm just gonna inch right up to the horizon. Still giving it time to dry. I'll be coming back adding ultramarine at the top of that to blend it in. And like I said, I'm gonna try to make the water look solid, like it's not much movement in it, because that's how the water in my reference photo is. And if some bleeds up into the mountain, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Let's make sure we have enough color in here. Have, more saturation in certain areas. We're gonna want it all to blend. May have it dark in certain areas than others. Then I'll grab ultramarine and I'll put that across the top at the back. And work that down in a little bit. Same thing on this side. Taking and kind of put ultramarine in certain areas. little darker across the very bottom here. I'm still painting wet and wet, so I'm keeping in mind that I will have a shift. And maybe I'll go ahead and mix a little burnt sienna into that ultramarine. It's probably burnt umber I just used. Get a little gray. My brush is not too wet. I need to work quickly here because I don't want just putting a little shadow in the water to start out with. Not too much, just hints of it here and there. Okay. We'll give that time to dry and then we'll continue to work. So let's go in, and now that we have dry paper, I did take time to actually dry with the heat tool. I'm gonna grab a small synthetic round brush, or you can go with a small synthetic angle, but just something that's not gonna hold a lot of water. I'll use this dagger brush here. This is a 1/8 dagger. This is a Christy Rice brush. You do you. And I'm gonna grab some of this red. It's like a vermilion, I believe, in this set. It's a pretty color. Use a pretty mass tone. And I'm gonna go in and paint the top of my tower. And I'll paint the entire thing in red. Not really worried about losing my lines at this point. I really feel like this is gonna come out a little more on the sort of storybookish feeling side, which is fine. And that vermilion is pretty opaque going on there, keeping in mind that Aquafine, depending on who you ask, is a student grade paint. But I like it. It's pretty decent paint. And we'll draw our little pose in. Try to keep them as straight as possible. And then we'll do the bottom. Keeping in mind, we do have that bottom layer of ink tints, so it may slightly change the color, depending on how opaque the paint you're using. If you're using gouache, of course, you'll block it out completely. And this color is definitely semi-opaque with me using it in mass tone. And I'm gonna try to get all the way down to the top. Make that a little wider on this side. Okay. Try not to make it too wide. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna take that and add a little, let's see, ultramarine blue to it until I darken it. Don't want to take it purple, just getting it a really dark tint of red. And we're gonna go in and let's see, we'll shadow this side of it. We'll let our light be coming from the left. Now you can choose to blend that in if you want. I'm gonna turn my paper sideways so I can work a little better here. Okay. And And then you can take a damp brush and blend out any harsh lines. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just rinse my brush, pull some of the water out of it. I'm trying to remember that this is gonna be on the tubes and not in Patreon, so I need to move a little quicker than I normally do. I'm just blending those so it's no harsh lines. Okay. I feel like I need to put a little bit more shadow in on this side. And then blend it out again. Just ever so slightly touching the paper. Okay, let's see. Do I want to take that a little darker? Maybe right under here I do. Up in this area. I definitely do. And down this, I'm trying to keep my hand out the way. Down the side here. Grab a little more paint. Okay, I think that's gonna be good. And let's just add a little darkness to those lines coming down here. We get a little bit more definition on the bottom part. I haven't added any water to that mixture. I'm literally almost dry brushing it on. All right, I think that's good. Gave us plenty of definition. Let's see. I want to do the little mountains in the background, and they're going to be more on the light gray side, and then I'll just build color on top of it. So let's add a little bit more umber to that little blue mixture that we had, and then we'll add some water to it to water that gray down. And let's go back up in here and paint. And that's actually too strong. I'll put more water in it. Because keep in mind, the lighter things are, the farther away it's gonna seem. And any blue that ran up into your mountain will reconstitute. And you can just smooth it out because your lake should be dry. So you should be able to work around your horizon with no issues. I'm gonna put another coat on that right away because I see that it's not quite as dark as I want it to be. And I always suggest that you start lighter because it's easy to build and increase saturation. It is not easy to decrease if you start out too dark. There. I'll let that be fine. All right. I think I'll let that be cool for right now. Let's see, where else do I want to go with this? I want to do more with my water. I actually want to put on another light coating of paint, so I'm actually going to go with a smaller brush this time though. I'll use this number 8 round, but it's made by a different company, and different company make different size heads for brushes. I'm not sure why that is. Doesn't seem to be like a standard universal size or anything. So I want to mix up quite a bit of really watery, I believe this is the cobalt blue. So we're going to make a big puddle of it here. With not too much paint, I'll just take my sprayer, but I need to really water that down. That should be enough. Let's see. Yes, that should be more than enough. Actually, I'll switch back over to the bigger brush because I want it to stay wet for a second while I put some ultramarine in the back. So just saturate that brush, and you're just gonna put on a very smooth base layer of paint. Basically putting on a flat wash. It's gonna saturate your paper, kind of even out any uneven paint if you had it. Pretty easy to keep it wet at this point. And I'm going to grab that small dagger brush I was using, get a little ultramarine, and that's gonna go back up against the horizon. And it'll let you get right up next to your lighthouse. Just kind of work it in on both sides. Okay. Just make sure that that is sharp. We'll put a water line in back there after everything is said and done. All right, so all I need to do now is give all of that time to dry, and then we'll continue on with knocking out our lighthouse. All of that's dry, let's go in and play around with our actual lighthouse now. I'm gonna start with, making this watery because we wanna overcome it with, I'm not sure what this is. Let's see what it looks like. Do I wanna do that? Let me take a look at the reference photo. I always suggest that you check your reference photo as much as you need to. This is more, I need to make sure it's gonna really match. I'm gonna just go with the umber since that's what we've been using. I'm gonna still mix some of that in. I'll mix a little yellow ochre in too, why not? Water it down quite a bit. We want it to shift. All right, and I'm gonna go in and coat my entire lighthouse with this. You should still be able to see your colors without any issues. this is fun. I have no idea where this is going or how this is going to come out. And it's been such a long time since I did a real-time tutorial here on YouTube. So hopefully you guys don't think this is boring or that it's taking too long, because I'm enjoying hanging out. All right, using that same color, I'm gonna mix in more burnt umber, and then I'll mix in ultramarine. I'm gonna come down here and put this along the bottom where it would be wetter at. I'm not really worried about if I run into the water, because it will be shadow. Just areas where you're gonna have shadow at, I'll kind of drop that in. I have more shadow on this particular part around the door. Keeping it really concentrated at the bottom though. Yeah, this is definitely gonna have more of a storybook feel to it, but that's okay. Keep it wet, it'll blend with no problems. Okay. Unfortunately, that needs to dry again. It's a lot of drying. It's a lot of layers. A lot of layers in this one. I need to add more color around the bottom. It definitely needs to be more concentrated, darker. And I'm gonna go in with this smaller brush, adding more umber to it. A little bit more ultramarine. It's gonna take it almost dark chocolate, and we're gonna swipe that in across the bottom. We need it darker. We need it darker, because that's touching the water. It's gonna be darker. And I'm just doing the pipe. Yep. If you see any harsh lines forming, just kind of blend them out. You still got time, your paper's still wet. My door got smaller there. That's okay. Just work it in. And I'll just make it smaller when I draw the pen. It's, with the pen, it's no biggie. I'm steady adding dark to the bottom. Okay, so now, using that same dark, while it's dry a little bit, I'm gonna go up and go under this area, because this is gonna have shadow. And then this area will be shadowed as well. All right, now I need to let that dry, and we'll continue. We are working on the Lighthouse a little more now. I'm gonna switch over to one of these waterproof Faber-Castell Pit Artist pens. This one is dark sepia. I wish I had regular sepia. And the only reason I want to use something waterproof is because I'm not sure if I'm going to have to go in with more watercolor. So I am hoping that this is going to work out for yeah, it's going to work out. It's going to work fine. And I'm just going to take my time and slowly ink in this illustration because, and the reason I'm gonna go slow with it, and I'm gonna use it for my shadows, my major shadows. Because it is actually a pretty nice color. I'm glad I chose to use it instead of black. Now, the only thing about it is you have to control your pressure with these type of pens. It's not like I'm using a fine liner here. So I'm having to take my time. Let's see. To get all this done, I really would prefer a small liner brush. So I'm definitely gonna have to order me some brown liners so that everything won't have to, because this is definitely gonna make it look cartoony, I think. But I've already started putting it on here, so I'm not gonna stop. And hopefully I'll be able to keep the lines for my bricks thin enough as well. But we're almost at a wrap with this. I didn't plan on doing too much to it, just have a little fun doing this little tower lighthouse architectural piece. That's a little off at the bottom, definitely. Let's put a little bit more on the side, make it look like we're trying to shadow it out. Definitely across the bottom where you would get wetness from the water. And we'll get shadow in there in a moment. Let's see. We have this little, we have this, which I shouldn't have put the bottom line in until I had that going to the bottom, but that's okay. And let's see if we can get the door in halfway straight. Oh, I know it's gonna be a little off, but you'll get the overall gist of the entire painting, I'm sure. Gonna be some steps. Going up there. Then we will have this line. Make it pretty solid. Right up under it is another line. Barely touching my paper. Okay. At this point, I'm kind of taking a little artist liberty because it doesn't necessarily look like this, but it's what we're gonna roll with. And I'm gonna see if I can mimic the lines I already have down. I should not have gone with such a dark pit pen. The lines are really thick. So we're gonna have much thicker bricks than I anticipated. It's gotten warm in here. It has truly gotten warm in here. And you'll go in between your pipe and your ladder. I'm trying to offset those lines to make sure it doesn't hit the same position on the ladder as the steps. Not always possible, but I'm trying. All right. It's looking okay. Let's put these bricks in. I want to make sure those lines run from line to line. I'm gonna have to get up and turn some air on in a minute. Oh, it is burning up. Let's see. Okay. And I think that's pretty good. Let's see, we need a little bit darker here. And we need a little bit darker here. And actually, it wouldn't hurt for me to use this dark across the bottom, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to use paint for that shadow to divide that. Let's put the railing in. I think I'm gonna put the railing in with this brown. Try to keep it as straight as possible. It does help when you draw it out with muscle memory, because if you paint and lose your lines, you kind of know where they are. So I'm gonna try to make this look like railing now. Going around. And I'll put extra in there so it'll look like they're going around the back as well. Okay. It's not bad. I need to put in more shadow down here. Hopefully the paint we used has, okay, let's see. Like so. I'm gonna put in a little bit more dark on the bottom. And then I'm gonna rinse my brush, pull some of the water out, and we're gonna go and blend this in. I'm not really worried about my steps or anything. I'll come back and go over that again. But I definitely wanted to get that darker at the bottom, and you can let it bleed into the water a little bit. It doesn't matter, because you gotta put that shadow in there anyway. Now I'm gonna take some of that same color and enhance the shadow that's under this area. Take it on down to about the top of it. Let it blend out. But then you're gonna go back and add more dark right in this area. And we're gonna keep adding dark right in that area, because this area has more shadow than the area below it. Let's take a little of it down the side here. And because we're doing this dry on wet this time, it's definitely gonna retain more of the color. I'll pull that in. It's gonna dry brush across a little bit. If you feel like you need more color, just add it. Don't be scared. Now, I normally put my darks in before now. This has been fun, just like this. I'll rinse my brush and I'll go back and I'll blend. We definitely don't want harsh lines. We want everything to blend out into itself. Like so. And then I still want to go back. Actually, I'm going to change brushes and get a synthetic so it'll hold even more paint. So I can concentrate it right here. That way, if it's dark enough, then the shadow below it'll make it look like it dips up like that. Okay, I think I like that. I think it's good like that. I don't really want to do too much to this. I think you get the point of it being a tower. I want to make the door white. So I'll add a little bit more ultramarine to that mixture I was just using. I'm gonna water it down quite a bit. And I'll paint this door. And I'm gonna paint this door like this because I'm actually gonna come back and use bleed proof to make the door white. And then put the window in with a black pen. This is gonna help with the mistake that I made of making the door too small, really. Put some shadow down there. Shadow down the end of the pipe. Taking that darker shadow going in here. I'm gonna touch that up with the pen. And then we need to start thinking about what's happening with the shadow in the water. We need to start thinking about that. And that being blended, grab some water. Now, I'm not like doing a reflection. I am doing like a shadow, literally. And I'm using that brownish gray I mixed, again, to keep color harmony. And it adds a nice color to the water as well. You can leave that harsh. You can rinse and go back and blend the ends of your shadow. Maybe it comes around the back a little bit. Like so. And let's just a few shadow streaks in the water here and there. Using that same color. Not quite black at all. Let's take that back under the horizon. So I've been using a brown instead of a black. My neutral mixture actually has more burnt umber or burnt sienna in it, so that it's more brown leaning than ultramarine blue, which would make it more cooler and gray leaning. I think I like that. I think that's cute. Add a few more little shadows there to balance it out. All right, that's cool. Do I want to do anything else before I start adding my highlights to anything? I don't think so. Maybe I need a few, like a few spots here and there. Let's add some shadow. Let's see. It's gonna be shadow here. And then some kind of streaking down here. And basically I'm just adding darker brown color, which is gonna stand out as shadow against that really light pencil we put in to begin with. Yeah, I think we're doing good with that. All right, let's see, do I need shadow anywhere else? I don't think there are too many places that has like a big shadow patch on it. All right. Few little shadow spots in, blend them out. I think that's good. I think that's a good representation. Just blending those shadows out just a little bit. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm gonna grab that dark pen and go back into this area to redefine my lines. There we go. Almost redefined that and want that dark. like that. And then I want this to blend down. Like so. All right, I like that. I think we're good. The only thing I need to do is put something in the lighthouse. Let's start with bleed proof first. So I'll grab a thin, small brush here. Have I been recording? Good. Because sometimes I forget to turn the camera on. That would have been terrible. It really would have been. All right, let's use this 000 around here. Got stuff all over my desk. And we'll take that and paint in. Oh, brush kind of got out of whack. Bristles kind of going everywhere. Need to get that back together. Okay. Because the door is white. So we're going to make it white, you know? We're going to make it stand out definitely as white. I'm going to try to stay inside my lines. I only plan on putting possibly one coat on this, so hopefully I'll get it right the first time. Okay. That's good. You can definitely tell that door is white. We'll put, now let's put some highlights on some things. Start here. And turning it sideways. I need to, this brush won't come back together. There we go. And we're gonna go right across that rail. Break it up a little bit so you can still see the black. And you can just hit those black rails if you want. Make them stand out a little more, make it look like some light reflecting off of them. But you don't want to cover up all the black when you're doing it. You definitely want to make sure you can see the black, so you can see that there's like highlights on that. Straighten those up a little bit. Like so. Okay, I think that's cool. Now, maybe there's a little light going across the top of those bricks right there. Sort of like you're doing rocks on top of a rock. I mean, you know, the highlight on top of a rock. All right. And I wouldn't have any there, but I probably have some reflecting off some of these. And it's not gonna be like perfect. It's gonna be broken up. I'm gonna tap it with my finger to lighten it up. I even rub, you know, kind of rub it into the picture. And maybe I'll just put a little streak here. We definitely want to put, that pipe should be gray almost. Let's see. We need to paint that gray. We really, really do. Just put a darker shade of of that brown on it. Finishing details here, finishing details. All right, I'll rinse that, give that a little time to dry before I try to put a highlight on it. Grab my highlight and go across the black part of my steps. You'll be able to see that. All right. I think that's good. Let's do a water line and maybe a few reflections. Do we want to do a moon? Is this a moon painting? I don't know. I think maybe this is a moon painting. I really don't know. We're gonna give it some thought. Let's get that water line in. We'll have a water line that kind of hits the bottom of this. You know. Probably gonna have a few reflections in here, not much. Try to fill them in areas where there's no shadow or anything. Just a few in the water. I tend to like that, if the truth be told. Get them a little. Just kind of let the light glisten across the water. I let it dry brush some as well. That's fine. Okay. I want to put in the window on the door, and then we're gonna call this done, friends. I have stuff everywhere. I feel like I've made a mess, but nonetheless, we've got our illustration done. Okay, I want to put in the black door. I'm just gonna grab a black pen. This is a black fine liner. This is let's go with a small one, like a 0.2, a 0.25. And we're just gonna sketch in where the window would be in the door. And I'm glad that bleed proof lets me write over it. Okay. And we need to do something about here. Let me put a handle on it. So you can open the door. Just put a little circle like it's a knob. Why not? Not quite dark enough, so I'll take this black fine liner. This is water-based. I don't plan on going back in with any water on top of this, so it should be fine. Okay. Okay. And then I need to put in, I have a light system up here that I want to sketch in. Okay. I'm not completely upset with it. And it's got little lines coming down it like this. Okay. Now I did that with red. I mean with that water water-soluble pen like a silly person. I'm just gonna grab a very little gray and go in here and kind of hit and miss on that and just leave it alone. All right, I think I like that just like it is. Let us wrap this up with our black line. I think this is pretty cool. And just FYI, although I'm not sure when this video is coming out, this is actually the very last painting for World Watercolor Month. But this probably won't be coming out to sometime in August. All right, we are wrapping this on up, friends. If you by chance saw, picked up on, heard anything you like, or just simply enjoy painting along, then please don't forget to sprinkle a little love, give the video a thumbs up. You can share the video because sharing gets caring and it gets it in front of other wonderful viewers like yourself. Please jump in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of today's illustration, whether you gave this a try. I would really love to know your thoughts on whether you enjoyed this. So yeah, definitely utilize the comment section. We can talk. You can ask any questions. I'll be happy to get back to answering them as soon as I possibly can. If you're new to the channel or returning and you haven't subscribed, do go ahead, hit that subscription button and notification bell so you'll know when we go live and when we upload. And check the video description for all of the relevant links. The Patreon link is there if you're interested in paints, pencils, pastels, and markers, excuse me. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful content over there for a very reasonable price. Of course, I have to get a little plug in. Check the Defyantarts website, where I do try to update stuff on a pretty regular basis, and you can take advantage of shopping any of the Defyantarts products or current curated sets or artwork original hand painted that is on sale. Out of the social sites, links are in there. If you're on Instagram, please give the Defyantarts Thrifty Apprentice corner of Instagram world a follow, please. Most recommended product list is down there in the video description, all those good things. So you guys be sure to check that out. Again, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you gave it a try. Give me your thoughts on it. And remember, friends, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep creating.